Hello, everybody. Welcome to Computational Thinking in Early Childhood. Thank you for joining me on today's session.
My name is Guadalupe Gomez. I am from Argentina. I have taught in kindergarten for 15 years and I am currently the instructional technology resource teacher in a school in Buenos Aires. I enjoy writing and I have published books and articles about technology education. I am currently a teacher trainer in Code and Play who looks forward to helping teachers learn more about programming and robotics in early childhood. I am excited to be able to share a little bit of what I do with you today. When we look up the definition of computational thinking, we will find many different perspectives. One I find really appropriate is computational thinking is a thought process involved in formulating problems and their solutions so that the solutions are represented in a form that can effectively be carried out by an information processing agent. Basically, computational thinking refers to human thinking skills related to problem solving. It means looking at a problem and structuring it in a way a computer can solve it. So, why should we teach computational thinking in pre-K and kindergarten? Although you might not have realized yet, you are actually already using computational thinking in your early childhood classrooms. Computational thinking helps you and your students understand how technology works. This will help students change from being passive consumers to active producers of technology. Our main objective should be to empower children with the skills for the future, and computational thinking is the key to do so. Understanding that there is more than one way to solve problems, learn how to deal with failure, be creative, communicate with others, work collaboratively, become curious, and develop critical thinking skills will help our students deal with the 21st century challenges. Computational thinking can be applied through 4 strategies, which can be used in a non-specific order. Decomposition means breaking a problem into small steps. Pattern recognition refers to finding commonly used solutions to repeated problems. Abstraction is being able to recognize the important information of the problem, leaving aside the details. An algorithm are all those steps or rules you have to follow to solve the problem. Without being aware of, we use computational thinking in everyday activities with children in preschool and kindergarten. We use decomposition when preparing the ingredients of a cooking recipe, calculating the exact amount of each of them. We decompose the steps of an art activity, establishing which one needs to be done first. We even use decomposition when learning how to write letters and numbers correctly. A simple problem or challenge we present to our students every day must be decomposed in small steps in order to solve it. For example, learning how to put on our jackets or tying our shoelaces. We can also practice algorithm thinking when we follow the specific steps when making experiments. We continuously use algorithm thinking in our daily routines organization. For example, when we organize our daily agenda. We program ourselves as robots to follow commands in order to stay organized. We can also use computational thinking when we play games. Puzzles are a great resource to use the different strategies in computational thinking. We use decomposition when organizing the pieces. We find colors or shape patterns to start solving the puzzle. Of course, our algorithm will become more complex in relation to the amount of pieces the puzzle has. Origami is a paper folding technique that needs us to follow a specific algorithm in order to create paper creatures. It is a very fun and crafty activity to do with students. You can even organize a paper plane competition and have students write down the algorithm they created to make their own plane. Tangram is a Chinese dissection puzzle game which consists in replicating a pattern using all 7 polygons without overlapping them. Usually, you are giving animals or objects shapes to replicate. Playing tangram helps children develop their abstraction strategy, as the shapes, the patterns they are given to copy, are minimalist designs of the objects or animals to represent. All details are excluded. Simon Game creates a series of tones and lights, creating a sequence the user must repeat in order to succeed. The series becomes progressively longer and more complex. This game helps children understand the concept of sequence of events needed in order to structure the algorithm thinking. Last but not least, the Simon Says. For those who have never played this children's game, one player takes the role of Simon and issues physical instructions as touch your head or jump on one foot. Players should only do the action when prefaced with the phrase Simon Says. This game will help children start to understand a basic concept in programming, the if and then conditional. If I say Simon says, then you have to represent the action I mentioned. If I don't say Simon says, then you have to stay still. We use decomposition and algorithm thinking when we are sequencing the main events of a story we read. We can also find patterns between stories we read or even use abstraction in order to identify the main events of the story and the conflict, leaving aside any details that don't affect the resolution of the story. A great story to work with students on the concept of decomposition is Go Away, Big Monster by Ed Emberley. With each turn of the page, a new part of the monster is revealed, until suddenly a green monster has taken shape. It is a perfect story to present an art activity to learn how to draw monsters each part at a time, or even create together the algorithm to form the green monster. A great story to work on pre-coding skill sequencing events is Brown Bear, What Do You See? From Bill Martin Jr. and Eric Carle. After listening to the story, children can place the animals in the correct sequence the story presents them. It is also a good story to introduce the concept of repetition, as it uses the same structure repeatedly during the whole story. The ability to recognize and create patterns help us make predictions based on our observations. They allow us to understand relations, and you can create patterns with your students or help them learn to identify patterns around them. Patterns are everywhere. The following video is an example of virtual activity I shared with my students to explain them how to create patterns, and then they made a pattern hunt around the house taking pictures of what they could find. Can you help me make patterns? So, here we have a heart. Here we have an emoji. Now we have a heart. Now we have an emoji. What do you think has to go in the last place of this sequence? A heart. We created a pattern. They were also asked to create patterns with toys and objects they could find around their houses. We started with simple patterns and increased complexity as they showed understanding of the concept. In order to create loops while programming, they need to be able to spot them in patterns and understand what they are. Looping refers to repeating things in the same order over and over and over again. We also invited them to follow steps to create patterns by sending them pictures of each step they had to do. We did this activity with 3 and 4 years old. They really got enthusiastic about the activity. We even showed them the final picture and asked them to create a sequence of steps in order to create that specific pattern. Activities where students have to determine which one doesn't belong provide them opportunities to use their critical thinking skills. These activities invite children to explain their reasoning, justify their answer, listen to others' opinions, and participate in discussions. Matrix sorting helps students sort by multiple attributes, for example, colors and shapes, and is a great way to introduce them to conditionals. All of these activities will help students develop their computational thinking skills and understand there may be more than one way to solve a problem. It will be important to foster their creative thinking and ask questions like, do you have any other ideas? Do you think this is the only possible way to solve this problem? And also ask them to explain their thinking. Computational thinking can also be taught through many unplugged coding activities and games. Challenges on maths where they have to create their own algorithm of commands to make them or an object get to the final destination provides multiple opportunities to use the four computational thinking strategies mentioned before.
¿Llegó?
Using their body to represent the movements on the square mat helps children understand spatial organization and count the steps and not the squares when moving through it. This activity can be done in small groups where one of the students represents the robot, the other student can define the challenge, other can create the algorithm using cards or drawing the arrows on a board, and finally, another student can be the debugger, who pays attention to errors in the algorithm and marks them down in order to correct them. As you can see in this activity, the student wrote algoritmo, meaning algorithm in Spanish. I always share this image in order to remind you to use the specific vocabulary when working with small children in order to help them incorporate programming words to their language. I wanted to share with you examples of activities we made during virtual learning with my students in order to learn about algorithms and computational thinking. We encourage our students to solve challenges through our learning platform, and they learned how to create their own game board and command cards to play at home.
So, we're going to create our own grid to play with our crafty robots. First, you will have to create a grid of squares like they want to have in order to get the robot to the heart. We also are going to need some command cards in order to create our algorithm. We need to get the robot to the heart. So we're going to use arrows. These arrows are going to help the robot move forward. They're going to help him turn to the left or to the right, and they're going to help him move backwards. And of course, we also have the go command. This command will tell the robot he is ready to start moving. So, to where does the robot need to move first? Yes, he needs to move forward. So how many times? Let's count. 1, 2, 3 times. So let's put 3 commands, 3 forward arrows in our algorithm. 1, 2, and 3. So now he's going to be in the square I am showing to you. Can the robot move forward? Can he move backwards? He needs to turn. He's going to turn either left or right. Today we're going to use the right turn. So when the robot moves to the right, he's going to be facing the heart. It's not a complete turn. It's just going to make a quarter turn. So let's try our algorithm. Forward, 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 turn. So, which commands are we missing? He needs to move forward again. How many times? 1, 2 times. Let's try and finish our algorithm. Ready? Go. Forward, forward, forward. Turn right. Forward, forward. Well done. You have reached the heart.
Creating with students their own chord chart algorithms helps them not only to get organized with their daily routines, but also become more efficient every morning by following an organized sequence of steps in order to do all the tasks independently. Dancing is another way to work on basic concepts like repetition. Following the dancing steps of a song will help children understand that dancing routines usually have loops in them. The song Head, Shoulder, Knees and Toes is a good song to begin following dancing routines with small children, as the song itself mentions the parts of the body you need to touch. With older students, you can choose any song and create your own dancing routine. You can even have a dancing code party. Working with secret codes will provide students the opportunity to understand that data stored in computer is structured and organized. Computers use a specific language to work. Computational thinking is also necessary to understand how robots work. With small children, it is important to use as a starting point what they know about them. Usually, their conception of what a robot is refers to a movie or cartoon characters, and robots are usually represented as a human-machine alike structure which has feelings and can make decisions. This fictional previous knowledge about what robots are is a great way to contrast it with what robots really look like in the world and why humans create them in order to help them, for example, in industry, science, and entertainment. Computational thinking in early childhood, when working with robots, refers basically to helping students understand what robots are made for, how they are created, which materials are used, and identifying which real-life problems will solve. Of course, in order to program the robots we need the computational thinking skills in order to be able to tell them what we want them to do through the creation of a specific code. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that I could help you understand more about computational thinking and how to teach it in early childhood classrooms. Hope you try some of the activities and games I presented today with your students. Please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions regarding the contents of this session. Thank you very much.